You ready?
Yeah.
The last couple of years, your team has had good guards, and they have good guards again this year. But what is this year? How is this year's team going to be different than what we've seen the last 2 years?
Well, the one thing that's different immediately is we have some returning guards. If you look at the last 2 years, 2 years ago, our backcourt was totally remade. We did have a couple with Jamarius, and you had Nike coming off of an injury. But when you added Greg, and when you added Nelly, so we had a new backcourt. Even Nike, because he hadn't really played for us. Last year was completely new backcourt with Bub, with Jalen, with Ish, and with Zach. You had two guys where it's their first time playing college basketball. Then the other two guys, it's their first time at this level, at the ACC level. You had one that transferred from the Atlantic 10, one that came from the Big South. So this year, having Jalen and Ish back and Zach as a wing, not necessarily a guard, but a wing, that gives us some experience in the backcourt. Dame has been at a high major, in coming from Houston, coming from the Big 12, but he also has a great deal of experience. So this is not his first time, playing at this level, and he has a lot of experience in college basketball. So I think that's a difference right there, is that we're maybe a little bit more experienced with having some returning guys, and then our new guy has played a lot of college basketball. So it only leaves for one freshman, Beaver, at the guard position, and he has some older guys that can really help him through this thing.
I think some things that have come out, with the secret scrimmage and everything in Cincinnati, it looked like a bunch of guys made threes for you in that game. Is that one of the differences too, that whereas last year you had Blake and Bub taking, a couple hundred threes between the two of them, this year you might get a more spread approach?
Yeah, I don't think we'll have a guy that'll make 110 like Blake did, but I think we can make as many or more than we did last year, because I think all around the court we have guys that can make them, not just shoot them, but they can make them. I don't think we have a scholarship guy on the roster that I don't trust shooting good three-point shots. And as long as we're generating them, I want our guys to have confidence to take them.
What did you think about your team's play against in the series scrimmage? Who stood out to you? Who were some of the better players?
Am I allowed to talk about that? Okay. I just want to make sure I don't break a rule. Obviously, they are a very good team. I thought we did some really good things. I thought everyone that saw the court played well. We moved the basketball, especially in those things. They help you, I think, so much as a team, because you're playing against really good competition, and you get game experience. So situations and games, for me and for us, it was a chance to play against a really physical team. That's something that we aren't able to simulate in practice. And so to play against that level of physicality, I thought was really good for us. I thought we handled it well, then we didn't handle it well, and then we handled it well again. Collectively as a team, we have to rebound the basketball better. But I thought everyone played really well and did some good things throughout the scrimmage.
How did Cam and Papa do against Cincinnati?
They did well. They did well. Papa didn't play a lot of minutes, but in his minutes he played well, and I thought Cam played well.
You didn't take it easy on Papa early?
No, I'm not taking it easy. It's just the situation. I mean, I look at his situation similar to Nike. Nike wasn't the player that he was in November, and even probably early December as he was in January and February. It takes a while to fully get back from that injury. There's a mental hurdle, and I think that's what it will be with Papa, just the mental hurdle of overcoming that injury, getting the rhythm of playing. Papa hadn't played in basketball in a year, because it wasn't like with that injury you can practice. He didn't start playing 5-on-5. It's probably been a month now, and so it's not just us taking it easy, it's just reading the situation that's there.
How about defensively? I mean, both in that scrimmage and just overall, how do you see this team developing on that end?
Well, that has to be what we hang our hat on. Individually, we have to take pride in it. Collectively, as a group, we have to have more pride. We have to help each other. We have to have the toughness and grit that I'd like to think that we've had the past couple of years. That has to be that way now. Obviously, our defense is different. Federico was the anchor of everything that we did defensively the past couple of years. And we obviously don't have him. But, I think we have more guys that can defend. And hopefully we won't have any weak links out there. But to me, defense is, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know personnel, who you're playing against. So we have to really do a great job of studying and in our preparation of knowing exactly, what we're doing, and then be able to execute it in real life game situations.
Do you expect to have more of a scoring threat in the paint this year than last year?
I think so. I hope so. But until we get out there and play, we'll see. And it may not be, your traditional where you throw it to somebody and they play with their back to the basket. It could just be you score more, whether you score from offensive rebounds more, you score from drop-offs, you finish, you make free throws. Cam was 6 of 6, in the scrimmage. And late in the game, we were getting him the ball when we knew they were fouling because we trusted him to make free throws. And so, but we also think we can score different ways in the paint. It necessarily doesn't have to be a big. We feel like we have some guards that can get in there and especially with Dame and Ish, against guys, maybe smaller guards, where we're able to take advantage of that.
Also, let me point out once that, Cam scored 25 against you guys last year here. You still won that game by 15. I don't want to say is post scoring less important than it's been in the past, but is it? Is it less important than it has been?
I don't think it's less important. One of the best teams in the country last year had the 2-time player of the year in Zach Edey. And so I don't think it's less if you have a guy like that. But I think that the game has changed and it's evolved. I think there's more spacing, there's more shooting all around the court. The pace of play is a little bit different as maybe it once was. But I think if you have someone that's really good in there and that can score, you certainly want to get the basketball in there.
Spoke about physicality. It seems like Dame's one of those guys that's learned how to be physical at Houston and Temple. How do you think this translated so far here at Pitt with the guys and just him being here?
Yeah, well, I also think those two schools and also where he's from. If you've been or, I've had the fortune to be around players from Kinston, North Carolina. And the one thing you have to be coming from there is tough to be a basketball player. And so it started at Kinston. He developed it even more at Temple. Certainly Houston's a way different level than anything, as far as toughness and competitiveness and things like that. And so I do think he's learned that. He's learned a lot. I think he got better last year without him even realizing it because it didn't translate to the way that maybe he thought it would translate as far as points. But I think if you're in that environment, which is maybe one of the best cultures in college basketball, what Houston has created with Coach Sampson, if you're in it every day, like you have to learn because you can't survive if you don't, do it every day. And so without him realizing, I think he got better. And I think that's going to make him a better basketball player for us this year.
You've talked a lot about Ish and Jalen stepping up as leaders this year. You've had 2 in-game opportunities to see that side of them. What have they shown in terms of leadership so far?
Well, I think the way they've talked, the way they've managed huddles, halftime situations, huddles on the court and timeouts, the way they hold themselves accountable, the way they hold each other accountable. I think they have a great partnership right now, Jalen and Ish, which comes with shared experiences and going through difficult times. They are 2 guys that were on the court a lot for us last year and in big moments. And they both stepped up in big moments and played really well. The other thing is that they have the ultimate respect of their teammates because of how they are as young men. And then when you see how they work every day, the time that they put in, and And so it's been really cool to watch their leadership develop.
Every year, the smart guys on TV always say that team with the best guards are the ones that advance in the NCAA tournament. Does that thinking apply to the regular season?
I think if you have good guards, you have a really good chance of winning. And I think it's always been that way on every level. You have to have good guard play in order to win. We've been really fortunate the past 2 years. We've had really, really good to elite guard play. And hopefully we can have that again this year.
How's Amsal? How's he doing?
He's getting closer. You know, we'll have a better idea, you know, tomorrow or Monday. But he's getting closer. He's working hard every day. He still hasn't done any 5-on-5, anything live. He still hasn't done that yet, but hopefully we're getting closer.
Everybody else is good to go? As of today?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
What do you see for Amsal, you know, in the type of role and how big of a role he can have for you this year?
Yeah, you know, that's hard to say now because we haven't seen him in a few weeks. But I know that he's a good player. I know that. I know that he's a smart player. I know that he has a skill and that he can really shoot the basketball and that he knows how to play and play off of really good players. And so what that translates to his role, I don't know. We expect him to be a good player. I understand that when he comes back, it's probably going to take some time because with his shooting hand, his right hand, he hasn't done anything. And so it's not like you're going to come back and all of a sudden, you know, when you haven't been able to use your hand, there's going to take some ramp up time to strengthen that back up. But I know that he's a good player. I know he can shoot. I know he knows how to play. I know there's a toughness and a competitive spirit there. And I know he's a smart player. So that usually translates into being pretty good. So hopefully it translates this time.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you guys.